Ukrainian jets strike Russian base. Then this happened. At 5:45 on May 26, 2025, a Ukrainian Air Force pilot climbed into the cockpit of his aging MiG-29 Fulcrum. On paper, the fighter had no right to be there. Designed in the 1980s for short-range dogfights, it was never meant to carry the precision-guided bombs bolted beneath its wings. Yet on this morning, the Fulcrum had been transformed into a weapon its Soviet designers could never have imagined, one combining French engineering, American satellites, and Ukrainian ingenuity held together with little more than custom pylons and battlefield creativity. His target was not just another depot or barracks. This time, the Crosshairs were on the Federal Security Service headquarters in Belgorod Oblast, a symbol of Russian power and the successor to the KGB. No Ukrainian pilot had ever dared to strike such a target. The mission bordered on insanity, flying treetop low across hostile terrain, climbing into the heart of Russia's air defenses, and trusting that a Frankenstein mix of foreign technology and improvised software would deliver its payload. The pilot advanced the throttles. The twin RD-33 turbofans roared to life, hurling 18,000 pounds of thrust down the runway. In the pale dawn, the MiG-29 lifted off, its patched-together systems humming in uneasy unison. What followed would test not only the aircraft, but the very limits of modern air warfare. Low-level ghost. By 6:15, the jet screamed across Ukrainian farmland at just 50 meters above the ground. The slipstream bent wheat fields and sent birds scattering in terrified flocks. Flying this low was exhausting. Every second demanded precision, dodging power lines, skimming over rivers, threading between cell towers. But it was the only way to remain invisible to the dense network of Russian radars beyond the border. The numbers were cruel. Russia's S-400 systems could track targets out to 400 kilometers, but only if they could see them. At treetop altitude, the radar horizon shrank to 25 kilometers. As long as the pilot stayed low, stayed fast, and stayed focused, he was a ghost. But soon that ghost would have to reveal itself. The attack profile required a sudden climb to 5,000 meters, an action that would light up every Russian air defense radar from Belgorod to Kursk. Inside the cockpit, the pilot checked his jury-rigged targeting system, a consumer-grade iPad duct-taped to the instrument panel. Running custom Ukrainian software, it translated modern GPS coordinates into data his Soviet-era jet could feed to French-made AASM Hammer bombs. It was an unlikely marriage of Cold War metal and 21st century code, and it was about to be tested against one of the most secure targets in Russia. Into the crosshairs. At 6:22, the MiG-29 reached its initial point. The pilot pulled hard on the stick. The nose pitched up at 45 degrees, the altimeter spinning as the Fulcrum climbed into the morning sky. At 1,000 meters, then 2,000, then past 4,000, alarms screamed in the cockpit. His radar warning receiver lit up. Russian search radars were locking on. The S-400 gravestone radar southeast of Belgorod painted his jet, calculating a firing solution. He had less than 45 seconds before missiles would be in the air, but those 45 seconds were all he needed. At 5,000 meters, the iPad showed green. His thumb pressed the release. Two heavy thuds shook the MiG as the AASM Hammer bombs dropped free. Immediately, their rocket motors fired, propelling them to near supersonic speeds. The pilot rolled inverted, pulling into a steep dive, jinking hard to get back down to low altitude before Russian missiles could reach him. Behind him, the two French precision bombs streaked forward, adjusting their control surfaces dozens of times per second. Guided by GPS and inertial navigation, they corrected every deviation, staying locked on their programmed coordinates with lethal accuracy. The Russian response on the ground, Russian operators scrambled. At 6:24, two massive 48 N-6 interceptor missiles launched from an S-400 battery. They roared into the sky at Mach 6, designed to swat down high-flying bombers. But the MiG was already hugging the earth again, weaving through valleys and forests. The interceptors overshot, detonating harmlessly in the empty sky. Now the race was on, not between pilot and missile, but between bomb and target. The AASM Hammers climbed to 8,000 meters, their computers performing calculations that decades ago would have required a room full of mathematicians. Resistant to jamming, able to navigate even without GPS, they were the epitome of modern Western precision. Each was programmed not just to strike, but to penetrate, timed with millisecond fuses for maximum devastation. At 6:27, the first bomb dove almost vertically. Its shaped charge punched through the roof of the FSB building, detonating deep inside. The second followed less than half a second later, striking 20 meters away. The twin blasts created a shockwave that tore through the structure, shattering support columns and triggering a progressive collapse. Floor by floor, the headquarters pancaked in on itself until the five-story symbol of Russian state security was nothing more than a smoking heap of rubble. Aftermath. The strike on Belgorod unfolded in less than 15 minutes, but its impact will be remembered for years. One aging MiG-29 and two precision bombs managed to pierce the very heart of Russia's intelligence stronghold. For Ukraine, this was more than just a tactical win. It was a symbolic act that struck directly at the FSB, the same agency that had long fueled destabilization, espionage, and covert operations against Kiev. The operation proved that Ukraine could not only defend itself, but also strike with accuracy and daring deep inside enemy territory. For Moscow, however, the attack was nothing short of a nightmare. Facilities once thought untouchable had suddenly been exposed as vulnerable. Advanced radars, layered missile systems, and billions invested in fortified defenses had failed to stop a single sortie. The fact that an aircraft older than many of its pilots, guided by improvised battlefield technology, could outmaneuver modern air defenses was both humiliating and alarming. It sent shockwaves across Russia's military establishment, forcing them to reassess their confidence in their own security architecture. The deeper message was undeniable. Ingenuity and precision could triumph over brute force. The ruins of the Belgorod headquarters now stood not only as a military embarrassment, but also as a psychological wound to Russia's intelligence services. For Ukraine, the operation carried a powerful lesson. Courage and creativity could change the tide of war. And for Moscow, it was a chilling warning that no stronghold, no matter how secure, was truly beyond reach. This daring strike was not just another battle statistic, it was a turning point in modern warfare. Ukraine demonstrated that with strategy, adaptability, and courage, even the most heavily fortified enemy can be challenged. The attack didn't just damage a building, it shattered the perception of invulnerability that Russia had carefully built around its intelligence network. And in war, perception is often as important as the battlefield itself. Yet the implications extend beyond Ukraine and Russia. The success of this operation raises larger questions about the evolving nature of warfare. Technology once seen as outdated, combined with tactical ingenuity, is now capable of delivering blows that rival the effectiveness of billion-dollar defense systems. This isn't just a story about one MiG-29, it's a story about the future of conflict, where creativity and precision can redefine the balance of power. So, what do you think? Does this strike mark the beginning of a new phase in the conflict, or was it a one-time statement meant to send a message? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth military analysis. Your support keeps us bringing these complex stories to light.